you know, when you've been around the game as long as I have, you stop looking at it the way most people do. People love the numbers, they love the highlights, the trophies, all that stuff. And yeah, sure, that matters. But when you're actually out there, when you're in the middle of it, that's not what you feel. I remember nights where everything just kind of quieted down for a second. Crowd's still there, game's still moving, but in your head it slows. And there's a guy across from you, and you just know he's about to do something, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. That's different. That's not talent. That's something else. And I played against a lot of guys, really good players, tough players, but every now and then you'd run into someone, and it wasn't just about stopping them anymore. It was about trying to keep up with how they were thinking the game. You feel that. You don't forget that. So yeah, sitting here now, looking back on all of it, there are a few names that come to mind right away. Guys that every time I stepped on the floor with them, I knew it was going to be a long night. And today, I'm going to tell you who those guys were for me. The first person I want to talk about is Magic Johnson. And yeah, that one goes all the way back. I'm not talking about the NBA yet. I'm talking about the first time we really saw each other, 1,979 college. I remember walking into that game thinking I'd seen everything I needed to see. Indiana State, undefeated. We were doing things the right way. And then you look across, and there's this 6 to 9 point guard smiling like he's already figured the whole thing out. That was the first thing that got me. He looked comfortable before anything even started. And once the game tipped, you could feel it right away. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't forcing anything. He was just controlling everything. Tempo spacing where guys needed to be, and all ran through him. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just another good player. This was someone who could take over a game without ever looking like he was trying to take it over. Now, when we got to the league, it got real. Celtics and Lakers, every time we played, it wasn't just a game. It felt bigger than that. You could feel the building, the crowd, the pressure, everything just sitting on top of you. And Magic, he thrived in that. Some guys get tight, some guys start forcing shots. He did the opposite. The bigger it got, the calmer he got. I remember those finals, especially 84 moments where the game could go either way. You're thinking through every possession, trying to stay one step ahead. And somehow he's already there. You'd make a read, and he'd already made the counter. You'd try to speed things up. He'd slow it down. You'd try to slow it down. He'd push it right back at you. It was like playing chess, except the guy across from you is smiling the whole time like he knows how it ends. And that's what made it tough. It wasn't just his skill. Yeah, he could pass, he could score when he needed to, but it was the control. He made 10 other guys on the floor play at his pace, not yours, his. And when someone can do that, you're not just playing basketball anymore, you're reacting to them. You don't see that often. You really don't. Playing against Magic, it forced you to think differently. It forced you to stay locked in every second because the moment you relaxed, even just a little, he'd find something. A pass you didn't see, a cut you didn't expect, something that shifts the whole game. And that's why every time I think about the guys who truly belonged, the guys who made you feel it when you stepped on the floor, his name comes up first. The next name I have to bring up is Michael Jordan. Yeah, this one's a little different because when I first saw him, it didn't take long. Some guys, you need a few games to figure them out. You watch film, you adjust, you learn their tendencies. With him, it was quick, real quick. You step on the floor, a couple possessions go by, and you already know this isn't normal. I remember those games against Chicago, mid 8-0S. They weren't a championship team yet, not at that point. But you could feel something building. You could see it in him. The way he moved, the way he attacked, there was no hesitation, none. Most players, even great ones, they think for a split second. He didn't. He just went. And then you get to that playoff series in '86, and that's when it really hits you. 63 points in the Garden, playoff game. And it wasn't forced. That's the part people don't always understand. It wasn't like he was just throwing up shots. Everything he did, it made sense. Every move had purpose. Every shot He believed it was going in before it left his hand. And we were a great defensive team. We knew how to shut people down. We had size, discipline, experience, all of it. And still, he got to his spots. Over and over again, you'd send help, he'd split it, you'd back off, he'd pull up, you'd press him, he'd go right past you. At some point, you stop thinking about how to stop him, and you start thinking about how to survive the run. What stood out to me wasn't just the scoring, it was the mindset. He didn't care who was in front of him. Didn't care about the moment, the building, the pressure. If anything, that's when he got sharper. That's when he leaned into it. And I said it back then, and I meant it. That wasn't just a player. That was something else. That was a guy who was going to change how the game looked, how it felt, how it was played. Because once you see someone take over like that, once you feel that kind of pressure, you don't forget it. You just don't. And that's why when I think about greatness, real greatness, he's one of those names you don't even question. Another player who belongs on this list is Isaiah Thomas. Now this one wasn't just basketball, this was something else. You talk about talent, yeah, he had it. Quick, smart, could score, could pass, all that. But what made Isaiah different was the edge. Every time we played Detroit, you knew exactly what kind of night it was going to be. It wasn't going to be pretty. It wasn't going to be clean. It was going to be physical, it was going to be intense, and it was going to test you in ways most games don't. I remember those late ADS battles, Celtics and Pistons. That wasn't just two teams playing. That was two teams trying to take something from each other. Every possession felt like it mattered more than it should. You couldn't relax, not even for a second, because the moment you did, Isaiah would find something. What people don't always give him enough credit for is how smart he was. Everyone talks about the toughness, the bad boys, the contact, but he was thinking the game at a high level. He knew when to push, when to slow it down, when to take over, and when to let the game come to him. And then there's that moment, 1,987 Eastern Conference Finals, still sticks with me. Game's tight, everything on the line, one small mistake, just one, and he's right there. Reading it, jumping the pass, turning defense into offense in a split second. That's the kind of player he was. You didn't just have to play well, you had to be perfect, because he was always looking for that one opening, and mentally, he never backed down. Didn't matter who you were, didn't matter what you'd done in the league. When you stepped on the floor against him, you were getting his best every single time. No hesitation, no second guessing. That kind of pressure, it wears on you over a game, over a series, over years of playing against the same guy. It builds, and you feel it. That's what made him great. Not just the skill, not just the wins, but the way he forced you to stay locked in. Every possession, every moment, because with Isaiah out there, if you slipped even a little, he was going to make you pay for it. Then there's someone you simply can't ignore, Julius Erving. Now, this one goes back to when I was still finding my place in the league. You come in, you've had success, you think you understand the game, and then you look across and see Dr. J, and it hits you real quick, this is something different. He wasn't just a player, he was already a presence. The way he carried himself, the way the crowd reacted before he even touched the ball, you could feel it. And once the game started, it made sense. Smooth, controlled, but explosive when he needed to be. He didn't rush anything. He let the game come to him, and when it did, he made it count. I remember those early matchups. I was competitive. I wanted to prove something, and he was the standard. You measure yourself against guys like that. You watch how they move, how they pick their spots, how they stay calm when things get tight. And then there was that moment in '84, things got heated. That's part of competition, especially back then. You're fighting for position, fighting for respect, and sometimes it spills over. What stood out to me wasn't just the moment itself. It was how he handled everything after. No panic, no loss of control, just stayed who he was. That's what made him great. It wasn't just the skill. Yeah, he could finish, he could glide, he could do things most guys couldn't even think about doing. but it was the presence, the way he changed the feel of the game just by being out there. You had to account for him at all times, not just defensively, mentally, because if you lost track for even a second, he'd remind you why he was one of the best to ever do it. And when you play against someone like that, someone who sets a standard before you even get there, it stays with you. That's why he's on that list. And finally, I have to talk about Dominique Wilkins. Now this was pure competition. No layers to it, no build up, just you, him, and whoever could keep up the longest. Every time we played Atlanta, you knew what it was going to turn into. You weren't guessing. You weren't figuring it out as the game went on. You knew from the start it was going to be a scoring night because Dominique, he came at you straight. No hesitation, no overthinking, just attack over and over again. And what made it tough, he didn't care how well you were playing. Didn't matter if you had a good stretch, didn't matter if you hit a couple shots. He was coming right back at you. Same energy, same aggression, same confidence. Some guys slow down when the game gets tight. He sped up. I think about that Game 7 in '88 a lot because that's as real as it gets. No room for mistakes, no hiding, just two guys going back and forth, shot after shot. You hit one, he answers. He hits one, you come right back, and after a while, it's not even about the plays anymore. It's about who's going to stay locked in longer, who's going to blink first. That's pressure, real pressure. And Dominique, he thrived in it. You couldn't predict him. You couldn't really control him either. All you could do was try to match it, possession for possession, and hope it was enough. What I respected about him was simple. He never backed off, never tried to change who he was. Some players adjust too much. They lose what makes them dangerous. He didn't. He leaned into it. And when you face someone like that, someone who's willing to go shot for shot with you in a game like that, you don't forget it. You just don't. That's why when I think about the guys who pushed me the hardest, who made me bring everything I had, every single possession, his name's right there. You know, when I sit here and really think about it, all those years, all those games, it comes back to one simple thing. It was never just about who scored the most points or who had the most trophies. It was about how a player made you feel when you stepped on that court with him. Because every name I just talked about, they brought something different. Magic Johnson controlled everything. You felt like you were playing his game, not yours. Michael Jordan, he brought that pressure where no lead felt safe. Isaiah Thomas made every possession a fight, mentally and physically. Julius Erving, he changed the way the game felt, the way it looked. And Dominique Wilkins, he forced you to match him every single trip down the floor. And that's what greatness really is to me. It's not just skill. It's not just winning. It's impact. It's presence. It's pressure. It's that feeling you can't ignore when the game is on the line and you know exactly who's about to take over and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Those guys, they had it. Every single one of them in their own way. So now I've told you my list. What does yours look like?